In this video, Will and I are going to be chatting more about shooting events and weddings. In the previous scenarios, I know that we have gone out and actually shot different actual live demonstrations, but because events and weddings are a little bit different, we haven't been able to get behind the scenes of a wedding yet. Hopefully, maybe someday we can actually do that. But we thought the next best thing would be to kind of sit down, actually go through my wedding photo album, which Will shot my wedding, and just talk through the tips and how to put those into practice. So, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so the first tip that we talked about was about being prepared. So for any event or wedding, what does that actually mean and look like?
So I think the first thing to do when you're shooting a wedding is getting to know the couple a little bit. I mean, obviously I knew you pretty well as a friend beforehand and Isabel, but with the other couples that I don't know, I'll grab coffee with them. I'll get to understand who they are because that'll give you a sense of style and a sense of like how the actual wedding day will go. From there, I decide how big the event or the wedding is. So if it's like, only 20 people, which I've had, I've gone to courthouses and done, I'll just bring one camera. And so I know that I don't need to be running around all that much. I can handle just a regular strap, like things like that. If the wedding is more than that, if it tends to be like 50, 60, 200, I think the biggest wedding I've shot was about 350. I know that I'm gonna be moving a lot and there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for a lot of things and things are gonna move much faster and I won't be able to get to everything, in which case I'll probably need a second shooter or I'll need an assistant, and I'll definitely need to carry 2 cameras with me, which is what my typical rig is, which we can get more into that later. But I think just being prepared and knowing exactly how big or what you're gonna need tool-wise to shoot, really.
And I think a lot of that comes with experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know you have gone maybe to the location beforehand. I know for our wedding though, that was probably your first time at any of those locations, right?
It was definitely the church I didn't get to go to, but since you shot really close to my house, I knew the layout already. So that's a good point to bring up, is I didn't get a chance to go to your church because I think it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend going somewhere beforehand. Actually, I did do another wedding for another LMU couple at the church at Loyola Marymount. And I went and checked, I remember because it was close by, I went and checked it out, like walked around, because at that specific location too, I couldn't go past a certain point. And that's something you need to know about your location as well. If you know that you're not gonna be able to move into a certain area to get the shot that you think you have in your head, you have to compensate for that. So I remember I rented a very long lens for that particular reason because I knew I was gonna be tied down to that place. And there's been other places, there's another church that I shot down south and we couldn't even go past the pews. And that one I was prepared to bring a tripod with a longer lens so that I could sit back, have like a 300 millimeter lens and still get that 2 shot of the first kiss. And like, cause that's important.
Yeah.
And I think being prepared and knowing like your shot list, knowing what you want to get, knowing what the couple wants, like all these things are like, there's a lot of pre-production that should go into the wedding. And then also the night before weddings, I get down and I lay out all my gear and I clean everything. I make sure it's all working. I set both cameras that I'm using to like the specific date and time so that when you import them into Lightroom, they're all in order. I just charge everything. I like just make sure everything is there and then I pack it all and I let it sit right there so in the morning I grab it and I go.
That's super good advice.
Yeah.
I think especially with if it is a wedding or any sort of event, I think I mentioned it in the previous videos, but talk to the coordinator, talk to the person at the location and see if there are any strict rules beforehand. I mean, usually as a photographer or videographer, I kind of play it like if they tell me to move, I will, but I'm just gonna go take a photo. I'm gonna go wherever I need to go unless they tell me not to. But it is good to talk to them beforehand so you don't get in trouble or break any rules like that. So that's great advice for being prepared, laying out all your equipment, charging your batteries, making sure your memory cards are clear. All great advice. So that's tip number 1.